Hey, it's me, the soy pill. As I was sitting in my cardboard box, licking oil off a thrown-away Costco rotisserie chicken bag, I looked up at the bright TV screens with news anchors and thought to myself, what does it take to become a right-wing speaker? Sometimes, as per my last video, you're the son of rich Republican donors. Sometimes, you're the heir to the Swanson food fortune. And of course, sometimes it's because you're incredibly smart and talented. No, can you imagine? But there's a special category of pundit that seems exclusive to the right, the grievance pundit. People hired not based on who their parents are, but based on how much they can exploit their persecution complex into an entire career far beyond their skills. Of course, this isn't limited to punditry. The right wing will frequently elevate and donate money to figures that go viral for such brave acts as saying the N-word, hating Indian people, and of course, saying the N-word.
The idea that one race can say the word 10,000 times a day and the other race cannot speak the syllables under any circumstance, that idea, again, is totally indefensible, which is why no one has ever tried to defend it. It is a double standard that declares it a greater crime for a white person to say a word than for a black person to kill a white person.
Sometimes it's because you're incredibly smart and talented.
And while these are awful and disgusting, I find it a million times more insulting when they give these people jobs and speaking events and then pretend like they have anything meaningful to say. Oh, you killed a 17-year-old for walking around? Here's a lucrative GoFundMe and some signing events. What's that? You tied for 5th with a trans woman? Here's millions of dollars in a spot next to the president. If you're on the right and want to know how this makes me feel, think about how that Haktua girl became a multi-millionaire with one of the top podcasts in America due in zero part to her charisma or talent, but because she said a thing kind of stupidly once.
Fuck to and spit on that thing.
Besides deportation memes and porn that they pretend to hate, nothing gets Republicans rock hard like playing the victim and celebrating mediocrity. Recently, a college student wrote a terrible essay and got a 0. She's already getting TPUSA speaking events, honors from the government, and tons of attention, all because she's being persecuted for her beliefs. Specifically, her belief that writing at a 3rd grade level shouldn't be an automatic fail. So let's dissect some of these losers and why they should disappear forever. And as we do, we can inject some science into it, just to see if there's a correlation. Let's start off with Riley Gaines. As already mentioned, Riley Gaines tied for 5th against trans swimmer Leah Thomas in a race. She also... Nope, I guess that's her whole backstory. Now, some of you may get mad at me for this one, but I don't think her original grievance is entirely misplaced. Biological men, on average, are going to naturally outperform women in just about every sport, save for target shooting, long-distance endurance running, and boob smashing. So if we let trans women, who have gone through male puberty, compete at the highest levels, you're going to start eroding the very reason we have sex-segregated categories in the first place, to let women win in competitive sports in spite of their sexually dimorphic disadvantage. So given Riley's situation, I'll say that her grievance is a C, because most sex-segregated categories don't really account for puberties and gender stuff, and she personally experienced the shortcomings of that. Sort of, because she would have gotten 5th either way. Now, if you know me, you'd know that I advocate for whatever makes the most sense to include the most amount of people. I don't have the perfect solution, but it's definitely not to keep the current sex segregation and pretend like trans people fit the original intent. Some rules associations make inclusions or exceptions or tiers based on hormone levels so that trans people aren't just excluded from a whole sector of society. But surely, my solution wouldn't be to spend my life on an anti-trans crusade.
I'm not calling him she. I'm not calling him her. And I won't say trans woman because, again, that's admitting that this is some sort of subcategory of a woman.
The violence that we are up against, especially from trans Tifa, right? If you're insane enough to believe that men can get pregnant and that women need prostate exams and that tampons belong in boys' bathrooms or whatever other crazy stuff that they believe, you're insane enough clearly to pull a gun and shoot someone.
And the Bible tells us that we will reach a point. Bitter is seen as sweet, dark is seen as light, and evil is seen as moral. It's undeniable that that's not what we're seeing now. And look, that's not to say that people who identify as trans are evil. I don't necessarily think that. But what is evil is deception. Lying and affirming delusions, that's evil.
Imagine if women had dicks and men had pussies and we were just really into big dicks.
Temptation is evil.
Relax, guys. She's not saying trans people are evil. She's saying that being nice to them and calling them by their pronouns is evil, and that trans people are just more likely to be insane murderers. See, those trans people are delusional. I know because it says so in my book, where people come back to life and perform literal magic, and that I believe is written by an unseen, all-knowing entity. Yeah, so Riley Gaines' entire career is just being an anti-trans figurehead, arguing to keep them not just out of sports, but bathrooms, and overall just torment trans people and make their lives harder wherever she can. Remember the NCAA rules that tried to include trans people? Well, Riley helped get them removed, and now their rule is just no trans people. But what makes this uniquely annoying versus someone like Ben Shapiro saying the same thing? Well, given her background, I think she had a legitimate case to spend her whole life talking about trans people in sports. Sure, her prescriptions are terrible and cruel, but at least she has a crumb of personal experience that she can speak to. I don't think that David Hogg is a grifter for spending his whole life talking about gun violence. But holy shit, why in God's name do they think that she has any business talking about literally anything but her personal experience?
Abortion says life in the womb is only valuable if it's wanted. He's openly stating his intent to solicit funds from taxpayers like you and me to harbor illegal aliens. Is this not treason?
Who gives a shit what Riley Gaines thinks about illegal immigration or abortion? She's just some girl who tied for 5th in a swimming competition that no one gives a fuck about. Why are we listening to her? And don't get me wrong, I understand the irony. I'm just some guy that people listen to for some reason. But I chose to spout my opinions as a career. My numbers, as much as I don't want to brag, and for as dumb as I am, exist because something I say resonates with people. Riley Gaines failed at something and had a bunch of money thrown at her because her failure was a culture war issue. And even in her likely botted host channel of almost 2 million subs, she barely cracks 1,000 views because she's not talented and has nothing to offer the world other than her one story. So when she's not shoehorned into a rally, she has no audience to speak of. She goes on stage with the president so she can try to exclude trans people from public life, all because her career was manufactured to oppress people. She's just a pawn.
Having kids matters far more than any sort of career or personal success you could have in your profession.
Okay, then go get pregnant and shut up. Talent level F. And I want to be clear, the talent score is based on punditry, not overall talent. Obviously, she's a decent swimmer. For a girl. Oh, and real quick, I thought I should mention that they made a second Riley Gaines called Taylor Silverman, who has the same story, but at least she got 2nd in her competition instead of 5th. That said, she sucks at skateboarding, lost to a baby, and is also a terrible speaker.
Taylor, did you watch the debate the other night?
Yeah, I'm definitely voting for Trump after that. I can tell you who the clear loser is, though. DeSantis.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that's going to support him anymore.
You guys watch that debate?
Speaking of babies, Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse was a little piglet who took a gun to a BLM riot, got attacked, ran away, and shot his attackers. Now, having seen the videos and watched the court case, I do think he should have gotten off. Sure, no matter how much you care for a community, I don't think you should take a weapon to a riot. I'm all for defending property, but Kyle should have been kirking his penis to hentai, like normal 17-year-old boys, not waving a rifle around a city full of violence and anger to defend an auto zone. There's always an O'Reilly's or a Pep Boys across the street anyway. We can have just one parts store. But it seemed apparent to me, and more importantly, the jury, that he acted in self-defense that night. But people labeled him a mass shooter, a racist who gunned down black people in cold blood, even though he didn't kill any black people, and only shot when someone was already attacking him. I think a lot of the flack that he got was unjust, which is why his grievance gets a solid B. But if I put myself and others in danger by being somewhere that I didn't need to be, and then ended up killing people, no matter how legally justified, the instant I got acquitted, I would disappear from public life, try to atone with the families of the victims, and distance myself from the people trying to get me to turn my PTSD into a career. Instead, we got public speaking appearances, useless opinions, the entire Republican Party labeling themselves domestic terrorists in solidarity, video games.
The Kyle Rittenhouse turkey shoe.
Gamers will get to play as Kyle Rittenhouse using a highly specialized laser gun to strike down any turkey that spreads lies, propaganda, or liberal bias. Each player will battle the fake news through a series of levels that are filled with dangerous turkeys.
And raps.
Don't get mad, it's self-defense trick. I'm in the right and they mad cause I'm innocent. In the innocent, innocent. I'm innocent, 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 innocent.
Republicans didn't stop at what you did wasn't wrong. They elevated it to what you did was great, actually. More people should do what you did. Now let's pretend that your tragedy somehow qualifies you to speak.
Despite everything they threw at you, you trusted it and you came out on top. Talk a little bit about kind of just how that has developed you as a person.
Well, it's helped me grow a lot. It's helped me mature. Sorry, I'm new to this.
Yeah, talent F, even though he's a crack shot. Like truly, I want you to imagine a world where Kyle Rittenhouse, absent of his incident, applied for a job at Fox News or the Daily Wire. His resume wouldn't even make it through the screening process because he has no qualifications. He hadn't even graduated high school yet.
Kyle, you dropped out of high school to actually go support your family.
He got rejected from joining the Marines for unknown reasons, but I speculate that it's because he failed his ASVAB, aka the easiest test in the world. But it's hard to be mad at him. He was young and impressionable, and the right-wing machine got to him at a time where the world was against him. And if it wasn't clear that these people are pawns, the instant they step out of line, the Republican media machine shames them into silence and conformity. When Kyle Rittenhouse was hesitant to endorse Trump, he got dogpiled and had to retract his statement because his opinions don't matter, just his story and how it can be used. Finally, it seems like the little piglet has grown into the award-winning County Fair ham, gotten married, and taken photos that they'll use in the Dateline murder-suicide story 20 years from now. I wish you the best, Kyle. Get away from the GOP. Like Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny is the perfect example of what should happen with all of these people. Penny is famous for the incident that happened to him on the subway. A mentally ill homeless man was threatening passengers, so Penny stepped up and put him in a chokehold, which resulted in the homeless man suffocating and dying. Now, whether Penny intended to kill him or just made a mistake is not really relevant. What matters is that the right wing turned him once again into their new hero. They said that he protected the people and more people should do what he did, rather than commend his bravery for stepping up and mourn the needless loss of life, quickly moving on. Probably because a lot of the party has vengeance brain and would support the death penalty for all crimes, regardless of the societal consequences. It's fine to push against the narrative that this guy was a cold-blooded murderer and argue for his side in court. But imagine if I stopped a shoplifter, not by taking his bags or punching him, but by running him over with a steamroller. The execution gets lumped in with the social consciousness and bravery as a good thing. And of course they tried the grievance grift with this guy. They plastered his face everywhere, Trump and JD Vance met with him, and if he wanted, he probably could have appeared on Fox News for the next 10 years. But then, nothing. He disappeared and got on with his life. He didn't make his career out of a tragedy and make us listen to his opinions that he has no business spouting. He's just gone. Thanks for not being a total hack, Daniel. And god damn it, he joined a pro-Trump venture capital firm. I knew it was too good to be true. At least he'll only make the world worse behind the scenes, with money, instead of in ways that force me to hear his voice. Speaking of needlessly suffocating black guys, Derek Chauvin. Like, God forbid, if they do end up pardoning Derek Chauvin, you know they're gonna make him some speaker or Daily Wire host or something. Like, really think about how absurd that sounds. Imagine a world where George Floyd survived, and 10 years later, you turn on CNN and George Floyd was telling you about the war in Ukraine. Why? Why would we listen to literally anything that he had to say? Maybe the reason this never happens on the left is because all of our grievance grifters just get killed. God, do any of these people have talent?
Don't be so sure.
Holy shit, how could I forget that Jordan Peterson was one of the OG grievance grifters? Jordan Peterson got famous not because of telling people to clean their rooms, but by complaining about Bill C-16 in Canada. That was the one that added gender expression to protected classes, which Peterson claimed was going to get him thrown in jail for misgendering.
I haven't refused to use someone's gender-neutral pronouns. I said that I would refuse. With regards to these human rights tribunals where all of this stuff would be sorted out, it's like those places destroy your reputation and destroy you financially. And can they put you in jail? Well, it's a complicated argument in some sense, but I can tell you that if you refuse to pay the fines, that's the next step.
Now, did this ever happen? Ever? No. So grievance-wise, F. But you know what? Say what you will about the man. Hypocrite? Sure. Spreader of hate? Yes. Crybaby? Absolutely. Cringy? I'll give you that. Pedantic? Also true. Insane? Yes. But he is a talented orator and very entertaining whether you buy into his dumb bullshit or just want to see him draw schizophrenic graphs.
The question, did that happen, begs the question, what do you mean by happen? The reality of the concepts of your question, when you're digging that deep, are just as questionable as what you're questioning. Do you believe in God? And I think, okay, there's a couple of mysteries in that question. What do you mean do? What do you mean you? What do you mean believe? And what do you mean God?
What the fuck are you talking about?
So in talent, I'm going to give him an A. He has no business talking about climate change or really anything in politics, but boy does he make it entertaining. But now that I'm thinking more outside the box, I don't know if this is okay to ask, but does Erica Kirk count? Because grievance-wise, she gets an A. Her husband was taken from her live on TV. That's as bad as it gets. And no, that video you saw getting passed around is not real. Epstein did not save him. But what, this qualifies her to speak on literally anything other than her grief? Why is she the new CEO of TPUSA? Besides the obvious contradiction of the right-wing stay-in-the-kitchen politics that her husband professed, what qualifies her to run the business? Oh my god, wait a minute. She literally has a college degree and was the CEO of a clothing business. She's unironically several times more qualified than Charlie Kirk ever was. That's hilarious. You know what? Fuck it. If some dipshit high school student can become the head of TPUSA and spout off nonsense politics, then Erica can do it too. Slay Queen, I'm sorry I ever doubted you.
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same gift.
Oh, wait, no, maybe you're horrible at this.
You have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president.
You know what? God is so good, you let it roll right off your back. And this is what's so beautiful about this moment, because if the internet wants to clip it, who cares? I love this woman. She's an amazing woman. She has a soul and a heart for the Lord. And words are words, but I know her heart, and it doesn't even matter. And you say what you want to say because I know your heart.
Oh, you're really bad at this. Maybe it was a bad idea to give the mic to someone who replaces moments of silence with WWE wrestling intros and grieving with book marketing.
This book is very personal to me because these are Charlie's last words.
Also, side note, but inviting Nicki Minaj as a headliner to AmFest just so clearly exposes how everything is about power to Republicans. She's speaking at the same conference with the guy who has an infamous tendency to shit on rap music. A conference started by the guy who said that you'd be a terrible role model.
Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't.
Republicans don't care about celebrities voicing their political opinions. They care if those celebrities disagree with them. They don't care if rap is degenerate. They care if a big name rapper endorses them. I give it about 2 years before they disavow Nicki Minaj completely and welcome with open arms Alec Baldwin as the keynote speaker at the NRA. And finally, we get to Samantha Fulnecki, a name I'm sure has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's manner of passing. She made a big stink about getting a 0 on a writing assignment that was graded by a trans TA. In her essay, she chastised gender nonconformity and other concepts promoted by the left. So was it anti-conservative bias? Well, let's read it ourselves. God made male and female and made us differently from each other on purpose and for a purpose. God is very intentional with what he makes, and I believe trying to change that would only do more harm. Gender roles and tendencies should not be considered stereotypes. Women naturally want to do womanly things because God created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. The same goes for men. God created men in the image of his courage and strength, and he created women in the image of his beauty. Society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want to be is demonic and severely harms American youth. My prayer for the world, and specifically for American society and youth, is that they would not believe the lies being spread from Satan that make them believe that they are better off as another gender than what God made them. Yeah, so basically her essay is the equivalent of this Family Guy cutaway.
Scientists have determined that the universe was created by a God. Big Bang.
She even admits that she did this last minute and didn't put a lot of effort in.
I was at my my good friend. I was at her house, and we were about to go to a musical that OU was putting on, or a play. And I was like, oh, I have to do this assignment really quick. It'll just take a second. And then I read the topic, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be so easy. Like, you know, I have a very strong opinion on this topic. And then I wrote it in maybe like 30 minutes. It was really easy for me to come up with things to say.
And the persecution complex. I mean, she got a 0 on a random homework assignment and emailed her governor.
I emailed the department head of psychology at OU and the equity office at OU, and the president of OU and the dean of my arts and sciences college at OU, and then Ryan Walters and the governor and those people. So
hired. You're hired. You start Monday. What? I don't know. You're hired.
And they ended up firing this trans TA, even though the other staff agreed that the essay was dog shit. They literally want participation trophies and DEI for being a dumb Republican. If only there was a right-wing narrative that pushed back against this type of victimhood.
You feel like life isn't fair? The truth is, people all around the world who have encountered great setbacks have gone on to overcome them. Just ask Helen Keller.
Helen Keller, have you had any setbacks?
Today we give you 5 tips on how to be a victor and not a victim.
Anyway, they're trying to turn her into the next right-wing grievance grifter. She's speaking at TPUSA events, she's getting awards from state congressmen, and for what? Because she wrote an exceptionally good essay? Of course not. It's because she can be used to attack trans people and let conservatives play the victim. Talent F, grievance F. Alright, let's look at the data. Yeah, this is completely useless. So I don't know if I have a call to action with this, because really I'm just complaining. I'm just tired of seeing talentless hacks propelled into stardom because they were in the wrong place at the right time or failed at something. I guess it does line up with the more talented of the right-wing figures like Ben Shapiro or Michael Knowles. Their careers didn't start because of their passion for politics. It started after their failures. They failed at acting or screenwriting or swimming or defending a CVS. It's okay to capitalize on a grievance to talk about politics. Democrats do it with BLM, school shootings, or with that gay wedding cake thing. Just don't insult my intelligence and make me pretend to value the opinions of people who have no business being in front of a camera.
Communicating with different pediatricians, some of them require you to get vaccines or they won't see you. That felt totally, I don't know if unethical is a good word. It feels unethical to me. What do you mean you're not going to see a patient because they don't have the vaccines you want them to have? Doesn't that go against some part of the Hippocratic Oath? I don't know. It sounds like in my head it should.
No.
You know the drill. It's the segment where I highlight a smaller channel. It's Oops, All Ladders. Today's ladder is Natalie Fulton. She made a video about anti-vegan fascism, a video that on paper sounds like the most insufferable combination of left-wing politics imaginable, but is informative and entertaining. Go check it out. If you want to be on Ladders, email me at thesoypill@gmail.com with the subject line Ladders and your channel name. Also, hey, do you want Soy Pill merchandise?
No.
I'm partnering with a company that may be able to mass produce propeller hats. Please go take the survey in the description if you would buy things like a propeller hat or a shirt that makes you gay. As always, thank you to my patrons, and especially my top tier patrons: Ash, Lewis Newman, Anita Bonghit, Astra Cosmos, Big Mac 1906, Bo the Banana, Broke Gemini, Babowski, Died Famous, Dr. Pepper Lover, Engulf, Jump and Flap, Keandre Dorsey, Marche Taylor, Morton Grew, Mr. Blonde, Church, Marco.io, RIP Fluffy Man, AIO, Banana Earth Theory, Chris T, Toby the Robot, Mushy, Nipple Fisting, Omega Omelet, Swarm of Locusts, Take Mamoru, Red High, F Mastro, Bell 7, Dean, Mr. Thoughtless, Elusive RG, Sniping Cow, Shri Kumar, Joseph S, Mad, and Evan A. And don't forget to type 1 to end the deep state.